What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we are doing the final mock draft for the 2019 draft season. This is the final mock draft before draft day, which is going to be tomorrow. Make sure you guys tune in on this channel. Special undrafted analyst episode for the draft. We're doing the draft on Thursday, which is tomorrow, Friday, and a little bit on Saturday, whatever I can after work. So I'm going to be doing a bunch of draft content for you guys. And so I want to throw out my last and final mock draft before the actual draft starts. And this is going to be what I think is going to happen. And just, I honestly don't agree with everything that's on this list right here, but this is what I think is going to happen. And a lot of people are going to call me crazy for a lot of things I'm about to say, and a lot of players I have going to certain teams, and a lot of teams trading and things like that. But the draft never ever looks like the mock drafts that everyone puts out every year before the draft. They never look like that. You're always going to get your surprise picks. So I kind of prepared myself for this in this draft, and kind of made some surprise picks and picks that we wouldn't have expected to come. So I'm gonna go as fast as I can during this draft, this mock draft, because you guys already know where the players are, who the players are, and what the team needs and things like that. So I'm just gonna explain throughout here. We're gonna go number 1 overall, obviously Kyler Murray, quarterback out of Oklahoma. I feel like everybody who thinks that Kyler Murray is not gonna be chosen has wishful thinking that they don't want Kyler Murray to be chosen. They're trying to like speak it into existence. And if you ask me right now, I was one of those guys that said that was crazy. That was a crazy assumption that Kyler Murray would go number 1 when they have Josh Rosen. But I just think it's so much more likely now. I honestly think Kyler Murray is going number 1 to the Arizona Cardinals. And I also have a potential candidate for Josh Rosen later on in the video. So if you guys check the description below for all the picks, and you guys will eventually know where Josh Rosen will be going. So we move on to San Francisco. Obviously, they get Nick Bosa. Who doesn't have Nick Bosa going to the 49ers? Then we have our first trade, and we have the Washington Redskins trading with the New York Jets for Dwayne Haskins, quarterback out of Ohio State. Now, I just think Washington wanted to leapfrog. It's not necessarily that Dwayne Haskins is such value there, but they just wanted to leapfrog anybody that they can, because Oakland, who drafts next, can take Dwayne Haskins there. And Dwayne Haskins is a guy you can leave for 1 year and then eventually start. So good trade there. And also, the reason why I made this trade here is there has been talks that the New York Jets want to trade down, and they also are interested in Ed Oliver, so I accommodated both of that in this draft. On top of that, we've seen reports, I think today or yesterday, that Washington wants to move up to the top 5, so I put that in there. Washington goes in the top 5, New York trades down like reports said they wanted to do, and you obviously see who I have the Jets taking after that. So that being said, the Oakland Raiders are on the clock now, and they get one of the best players, second best, if not the best player in this draft, that falls right into their laps without making a move, making any calls, anything like that. Quinnen Williams is there, and I know the interior pass rush isn't necessarily a huge need, but he's the best player. You have to take him. There's no other way. I know Oakland, there's been sources saying that Oakland will make a surprise pick. If Quinnen Williams there, they're not going to make a surprise pick. If Quinnen Williams is there, they're taking Quinnen Williams. So that's what my scenario shows there. And then number 5, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Devin White. I'm just going to have that there. I mean, there's no other player really going to go there. Are they going to take an all offensive lineman? Probably not. DeMar Dotson's getting older, but they got DeMar Dotson and Donovan Smith still there. So I don't envision them making another move for an offensive tackle. Devin White is the best player available on the board, arguably the best player available on the board, but they skip out on that because they do have some decent pass rushers there. And the New York Giants are on the clock, and they pick up Josh Allen. I just got myself a new shirt, got myself a hat, and I'm ready for the draft. And if the Giants take Josh Allen, I would be ecstatic. I would be so happy. We wouldn't have to need to trade down, even though I would still like to trade down. But Josh Allen at 6 is just fine. And I think it's an obvious possibility. It can flip-flop as well. Tampa Bay taking Josh Allen and Devin White going to the Giants. It can also happen. I'll probably be more happy for Josh Allen than Devin White. But it is what it is. We move on to Jacksonville at number 7. Now, it was between TJ Hawkinson. I've seen a lot of sources saying TJ Hockenson is going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and it honestly looks likely. But I'm just going to take the smart move here, and I'm going to say that the trenches are more important. I think Tom Coughlin knows that. The trenches are more important than a tight end. So I'm going to take Jonah Williams, the best tackle available on the board. We have the Detroit Lions. Now, the Lions and the Buffalo Bills, reports are saying that they're willing to trade down, but I'm not going to have that in this mock draft. Too much trading going on right now for my liking. So I'm going to have the Detroit Lions staying at 8 and them grabbing up Greedy Williams, the cornerback out of LSU. I know his draft stock is falling, but makes no sense. I think he's a great player at 8 and would definitely benefit taking him here to pair him along with Darius Slay. Moving on, we have number 9, the Buffalo Bills. They take the second best. Well, it can be the second best, but I say they take Jawaan Taylor out of Florida. You could flip-flop him with Andre Dillard if you want to, but I'm just going to say Jawaan Taylor. I just think that's what's going to happen. It's not really what I want to happen. I think that's what's going to happen. But Denver's on the clock now, and I have them taking Devin Bush, the inside linebacker out of Michigan. They just lost Brandon Marshall. I forgot where he went. I think he went to the Raiders. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I think he went to the Raiders, but they lost Brandon Marshall. I know a couple years ago they lost another inside linebacker. He went to the Bears. I forgot his name. He's off the top of my tongue right now, but top of my head right now. But it is what it is. They need another inside linebacker in there. They need to shore up that defense. They already have 2 great edge rushers. They just need the captain of that defense, Devin Bush. Is the guy. Great pick there for Denver. Then you look at the Cincinnati Bengals. I have them taking Clellin Ferrell, the defensive end out of Clemson. Listen, I don't know why a lot of people are saying he's second round value. I don't know why he's going to Seattle. He's going to all these other places late in the draft. This guy is a huge talent. Don't know where this all comes. I know he's a little inconsistent on tape, but this guy's an absolute monster. Think Robert Quinnen in his prime, back when Robert Quinnen in his early days with the Rams. I see a lot of that in Clellin Ferrell. So, I have Clellin Ferrell going to the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, next I have the Green Bay Packers taking TJ Hockenson, the tight end out of Iowa. Now, a lot of people may say other positions like the front 7 that Green Bay needs to shore up, but I think they can address that. If not, if they don't address it, it's whatever. But I think they could address it in the 30th pick. But I think TJ Hockenson is a great talent here. Jimmy Graham is getting older. He's past his prime. They also have Mercedes Lewis there. But TJ Hockenson would be a fantastic weapon for Aaron Rodgers. Get him going a little bit. I know they don't have much weapons in that wide receiver core. It's very average, very balanced. There's no really good receivers. There's no really bad receivers. Just very average at best. And to bring in TJ Hockenson would take the top off of that defense. And I think do a lot of things for Green Bay. We then look at Miami. I have them taking Drew Lock, the quarterback out of Missouri. He's going to be sitting behind Ryan Fitzpatrick for a year, and hopefully by then he will be able to play on his own. We now look at Atlanta, taking Rashan Gary. I always say I think Rashan Gary I think it's a surefire pick, Rashan Gary. If he drops to Atlanta, Atlanta's taking him because they need, first of all, they need interior help, and Atlanta loves fast players. This is why I always had Takaris McKinley going to Atlanta, and they wound up taking him. They love fast players. Vic Beasley and Takaris McKinley are probably the fastest edge rushers you'll ever see. Deion Jones, one of the fastest middle linebackers you'll ever see. You look at Desmond Trufant, one of the fastest cornerbacks, and when he was younger, of course. Back then, I don't know how he is now, of course. But then you have Calvin Ridley, one of the fastest receivers. Julio Jones is no slowpoke either. You have Tevin Coleman, Devontae Freeman. A lot of guys that was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons have that speed factor like a Falcon is known for. So Rashan Gary will be a speedy interior player. I think it's surefire Rashan Gary to the Atlanta Falcons. We then move on to number 15. New York Jets are on the clock after trading down, and they get their guy Ed Oliver, who they desperately wanted so much, defensive tackle out of Houston. We look at the Carolina Panthers, and this one was pretty hard for me because they do have some guys at edge rush now. Now that I look at their roster, they have Bruce Irvin, Mario Addison there. Do they really want to add somebody else or kind of go safety, Nasir Adderley? I think Nasir Adderley wouldn't be a bad pick here, but I had them going Montez Sweat, the defensive end out of Mississippi State. I got to remember, this is what teams would do, not what I would do, so I'm trying to bring that into light. I've always had them getting edge rush, and I think that's ultimately what they're going to do. They need to get back to that defense that they were known for a couple of years, especially during that run for the Super Bowl. We then would look at the New York Giants at 17. Now, they can go a lot of different directions here. Offensive tackle, cornerback. I believe I don't know, quarterback. I mean, a lot of people are talking about Daniel Jones. I would not do it, of course. I honestly don't think Dave Gettleman is going to do that. So I'm going to have the Giants taking Byron Murphy, the cornerback out of Washington. I think he's the best corner in this draft for sure. I'm higher and higher on him every time I think about him. I think DeAndre Baker is going to fall on my board a little bit, but I had Greedy as my second now. So that's what I really came up with. But anyway, that being said, great pick for the Giants. I would be very happy if we picked up those two players we just mentioned, Josh Allen and Byron Murphy. Would be fantastic for the Giants. We then move on to the 18th pick. Minnesota's on the clock, and they get a great pass blocker in Andre Dillard to shore up that offensive line and protect Kirk Cousins. 19th overall, Tennessee Titans, Christian Wilkins. They need another front guy on that defensive line, on that front seven. Christian Wilkins would work wonders there with Jarrell Casey and Austin Johnson as well. And you have Harold Landry, the young pass rusher, and also Cameron Wake. I mean, just think about that front seven along with Christian Wilkins. It will just be fantastic. Fantastic. I know they can go offensive line here. I know they can go wide receiver. I just think Christian Wilkins is too good of a value, too good of a player to pass up. So we then move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They need a cornerback. I've been mocking them to have a cornerback ever since Artie Burns. They drafted the wrong cornerback. I wanted to get William Jackson, but they got Artie Burns. He wasn't that good. They need to get another cornerback here. I've been mocking them for such a long time to get one. DeAndre Baker is the guy. He's gonna fall in the draft, I think. The more I look at his tape, I'm just not a huge fan of DeAndre Baker. I think he's gonna fall a little bit to Pittsburgh. If he's there where Pittsburgh is at, that's a no-brainer. They need to take him here. We then move on to the Seattle Seahawks. I think Nasir Adderley is a match made in heaven for the Seattle Seahawks. Safety out of Delaware. Good replacement for Earl Thomas. We then move on to the Baltimore Ravens. They need a speedy wide receiver, so someone to take the top off and run those deep 9 routes, and someone that can catch the ball as well and just burn defenders deep. And DK Metcalf is your guy. That's pretty much all the guy can do, but they can get it done. Baltimore has thrived with receivers like that. You look at Torrey Smith in the past. You look at Mike Wallace. You look at John Brown, who they just had there. Willie Snead, a bunch of guys. I know I'm missing some guys, but a bunch of guys that could just run down the field and catch the ball. Baltimore is famous for that. DK Metcalf to the Baltimore Ravens. We then look at Houston Texans at 23. Now they have to go offensive line here. It just depends where they go. Will they go center? Will they go guard? Will they go tackle? All of those are very possible, very likely, but they have to go offensive line here. They can go safety, they can go other places, but they have to go offensive line here. I'm going to say they get Dalton Reisner, the offensive tackle, out of Kansas State. We then move on to the Oakland Raiders at 24. They're going to grab up A.J. Brown, the wide receiver out of Ole Miss, to pair up with Antonio Brown there. So A.J. Brown, Antonio Brown, fantastic duo there in Oakland. We then move on to the Philadelphia Eagles, and I've seen a lot of I've seen a lot of analysts mock this. Jeffrey Simmons, defensive tackle out of Mississippi State. He tore his ACL, unfortunately, and we'll see if he comes back from that, because he's a 300-pounder guy. So we'll see how he comes back with from that, all that pressure on his leg. But for the Philadelphia Eagles, I think it's a great pick. They also did the same thing with the corner, Sidney Jones. He got hurt. They wound up drafting him anyway, and he tore his ACL as well before the draft. Nobody's really talking about that. That the Philadelphia Eagles have been known to do this before. They can definitely pull the trigger on Jeffrey Simmons. I'm taking them here. Defensive tackle out of Mississippi State. We then move on to the Indianapolis Colts at 26. I'm going to have them taking Dexter Lawrence, the defensive tackle, the other defensive tackle out of Clemson, and very good pick here. They need interior help on that defensive line. That's pretty much their biggest need, and it's not even that bad. So Indianapolis really can do anything with their pick. They can even trade out of it if they really wanted to acquire some more picks or even acquire another player. They really can do anything with this pick. I really don't think they can go wrong here. They can get wide receiver. They can go interior. They can go, corner. Who knows? They can do a lot of things here, and they really can't mess up. So I'm gonna have them taking Dexter Lawrence here. Probably the best player available, besides one of the Jerry Tillery as well, but I just think they can go Dexter Lawrence here. We then look at the Oakland Raiders at 27. I have them taking Noah Fant, the tight end out of Iowa. Pretty self-explanatory there. They need a tight end. Noah Fant should be the guy. Los Angeles Chargers at 28. Now, I think this is a match made in heaven. I think Jerry Tillery, I don't know why. I just see him in a Chargers uniform for whatever reason. I think he's going to fall in my... It's not that he falls in big boards. I just don't know why he's not talked about in the top 15 area. Top 15 to top 20. That's where I really have him at. I really don't know why he's not being talked about that much. Yeah, a lot of people don't even have him in the first round. They don't even talk about him at all. So I think he's an obvious first round pick. He's going to go later in the round. Me personally, I probably have him in the top 15, top 20, but he's probably going to drop all the way to 28, and that's, for some people, that may be a reach, but I love Jerry Tillery. He's a great talent, probably the second best defensive tackle in this draft. We then look at the Seattle Seahawks at 29 after acquiring that pick from the Kansas City Chiefs, trading Frank Clark. That was a crazy trade. I had them getting Garrett Bradbury here, the center out of North Carolina State. It's time. It's time Seattle focuses on that offensive line. They just restructured. They just re-signed Russell Wilson's contract. They have to do something about that offensive line. It's been too long since they even addressed it. They've let some guys go. That makes it even worse. They got a bunch of guys there that is just not good. So they have to go offensive line. Garrett Bradbury should be a good pick here. We then look at Chris Lindstrom going to the Green Bay Packers. Now, I've seen a couple of reports saying don't be surprised if Chris Lindstrom sneaks into the first round. I think a very good possibility is to the Green Bay Packers. They need some guard help, and I think he can go here. We then look at the Los Angeles Rams. I had them taking defensive end Zach Allen, the defensive end out of Boston College. They need some edge rush help. I know he doesn't really fit the 3-4 scheme as well, but they can throw him anywhere just like they throw Aaron Donald anywhere. So just put him somewhere and just hope he rushes the passer well, just because you need edge rush help, and there's not really any 3-4 outside linebackers on the board really worth taking. You don't really have too many needs besides that anyway. You really don't want to reach for a center or reach for a guard. Just take an edge rusher here, better value here at 31. And then the Arizona Cardinals are on the board at 32, meaning they traded Josh Rosen to the New England Patriots. There were a bunch of talks saying that the Patriots, the Chargers, and the Giants are interested in Josh Rosen, Miami as well, but those three teams primarily, and that there was nothing more than a second round pick being offered. But I think New England takes it and say, listen, this first round pick, the 32nd overall pick, is just like a second round pick. Let's just give that up and take Josh Rosen. And they ultimately do. And Arizona is now on the clock, and they take wide receiver Hakeem Butler, wide receiver out of Iowa State, I think. Iowa State. I think that this guy is supremely underrated. Watching this guy on film and a couple highlights as well, I had to watch him really quickly. But I love what I see from him. They need a replacement there in Arizona. Larry Fitzgerald is not going to be there much longer. Christian Kirk isn't the guy. All those other wide receivers that are average aren't the guys. Hakeem Butler could be that guy. So taking him here at 32 would be a steal here. So that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below of this mock draft. This is the final mock draft before the day. Make sure you guys tune in for the live stream. It's going to be a blast. Can't wait to see who the Giants take at 6 and 17, or if they move up or they trade down. We'll see. With all that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.